Splack! A sound rang through the hallways. What? Is that the alarm clock? Must be time to get up for school. That can't be true. Yesterday was Friday, so today must be Saturday, and my alarm clock does not sound like an explosion. So what was that noise? Slowly awakening from my stupor, I stumbled into the hallway and heard the sound of running water. "John!" my mother shouted. As I ran to her aid, I found the source of my rude awakening. As I stood in a puddle of water on the upstairs carpet, I realized the water was pouring from the ceiling. Mom turned to me and told me to get dressed. She was afraid the top floor would fall. I quickly threw on some sweatpants, a jacket, and a pair of sneakers and ran downstairs. My grandmother was cautiously heading downstairs, trying to dodge the water so it wouldn't mess up her hair. Once downstairs, I hurried to get the leashes on the dogs and we rushed them outside. As I stood with my grandmother in the backyard on the snow and ice-covered patio, I realized how cold it was. My mom ran back inside to collect essentials and turn off the electricity. I wanted to help, but she told me to stay outside. A few minutes passed, but it felt like an hour. Waiting anxiously on the patio, we heard a loud thump. I panicked. Could that have been the upstairs crashing to the ground? And was Mom okay? I wanted to run inside to see if she was alright, but my grandmother would not let me. Seconds later, the firefighters arrived. Quite ironically, they showed up with a truck full of water, like we need any more of that. They turned the water off, and my mother rushed out of the house, carrying 2 giant trash bags. I was relieved to see her. With all of us out of the house, safely we walked to the front to thank the firefighters. I was glad that everyone was okay. I gazed through the front door and took note of the damage. The flood devastated the entrance foyer, leaving debris and water on the ground, as well as gashes in the wall from falling drywall. Drywall insulation had dropped 20 feet from the ceiling to the first floor, leaving a gaping hole in the ceiling. The only thing that remained was a chandelier that was hanging from a beam by the electrical wires and a sagging patch of drywall above the front door and stairs. Even the light fixtures were filled with water. As I stood in awe at the sight, I began to wonder what had happened to cause this. As the excitement settled, we made our way back into the house and we discovered that the damage was even worse than we originally thought. A sprinkler pipe had ruptured, and water was flowing through the wall all the way down to the basement. The only rooms that were not affected were those on the back side of the house. The night ahead was the next big problem, because our state, like many others on the East Coast, had been enduring extreme cold temperatures all week. They had reached below zero with the wind. We tried to find some place to stay for the night and quickly discovered that we had nowhere to go. All the local hotels were full of visitors who had arrived in town for inauguration week. The thermometer inside our house only registered 17 degrees, so my mother started making a plan to get us through a long, cold weekend. First, we bundled up in layers of clothing. It felt strange walking around the house in snow pants, hats, and gloves. We moved our mattresses into the family room so we could sleep near the fireplace. We duct taped plastic to the windows and sealed off the hallway entrances with tarps and tablecloths to trap air in the room. Also, because we had no electricity, we rounded up the flashlights. Next, we tried to start a fire, but we couldn't because we only had damp wood. My mother placed the wood on the baking sheet in the oven to dry it out. She left the oven door open to let warmth fill the room. While she tended to the firewood, she made some hot chocolate and soup to help warm us up. Finally, just before sunset, we were able to start a fire. The fire was small, but the warmth felt good on my fingertips. As I was enjoying the warmth, I started to notice something falling out the chimney. I yelled for my mother. There were wasps falling into the fire. In a panic, my mother grabbed a wasp and hornet spray and started spraying into the fireplace. I couldn't help thinking that this probably wasn't going to end well. I had visions of either the whole house going up in flames or being rushed to the hospital to be treated for multiple wasp stings. Considering that I'm deathly afraid of bees, the risk of having the whole house go up in flames to prevent a swarming wasp invasion seemed legit. With the wasp crisis averted, we passed the time playing board games by flashlight and laughing about the events of the day. Just before we fell asleep, bundled up under layers of blankets with our hats and coats on, we celebrated the fact that the temperature in the house was now 32 degrees. At that moment, I realized that everything I thought was important really wasn't very important to me at all. When the pipe broke, I only cared about the safety of my family and my dogs. As we started to check the things that were damaged, I realized that my primary concern was how to protect the things that had sentimental value that could not be replaced, like portfolios of my drawings or old family photos. We had warmth, food, shelter, and each other, and that is all that we needed to be happy. I believe that this is all that really matters.